update on Dorfave?
No, he won't play tonight. He is skating, so hopefully I'll give you an update before the next game, but not tonight.
What are the pros and cons of being in a series where you're playing every other day without that extra day of rest or travel?
Well, I think it's situational. Sometimes you want the extra day if the previous game didn't go your way and you want to maybe lick your wounds a little time away from the rink. Sometimes when you're winning, you want to get right back at it. So I don't know until you're in that spot where the game is. Sometimes last year's between game 4 and 5, we went in Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota was overtime, right? We won up there. So they probably have that extra day because they lose in overtime to sort of separate from the game a bit. So it probably worked to their advantage in that situation, or they don't mind having it. And then there's the health, right? Do you have some guys that really need that extra day? Goaltender, is he used to playing every second day, for 2 months if that's the way it works out, if you're going. So those are things that would change from team to team, right? So I can't say there'd be an advantage for us or them. I think it depends on where it falls and kind of shape your teams in both physically and mentally. And travel, I guess, Danny, too, right? Like if you're going, Vegas to Minnesota is not short. Vegas to Edmonton, it's not like, Washington to Carolina, right? Where, so you start adding those flights, the team that's traveling a little more that doesn't have home ice advantage, they might say, well, that extra day helps us stay off a plane one less time between games, because you play every second day, like you're traveling a lot, so you never really feel like you have a day off when you're actually flying back home or to the destination.
Bruce, talking to guys like Jack Eichel yesterday, he was saying that for him it was about showing why he should be trusted in those situations defensively. So what was it about what he did that allowed you to have that trust? And also, given your experience in Boston with guys like Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, Charlie Coyle, what are those things that you learned coaching those guys that when it comes to two-way play, you're able to implement with other centers and teach them and sort of guide them along?
Well, in working backwards in Boston, I was really fortunate. When I got there, they were established players, Krejci, Bergeron. So, they probably taught me more than I taught them, to be honest with you. I said very, very fortunate to walk into a room with those two guys in a style of play. We tweaked some things to create more offense or whatnot. But so for Jack, when I first, I talked to him about Patrice Bergeron, his valuing the defensive side of the puck, and even David Krejci didn't get as much credit, but he was a really good defensive player. He just wasn't winning Selkies like Bergie. So, and the value in that to win at this time of the year, and we saw it 2 years ago. He bought in, was unbelievable, both sides of the puck. So he gets it now. He's been there. So for me, it's just now reminding him, and sometimes he needs some assistance. The last series, putting Carly up with them, their line was really going well. Things were happening for him. Carly's a great check and center. So you got two guys that can do it now. So it takes a little pressure or a little bit of the responsibility off him every night. And I think it freed him up a little on the other side of the puck. So that worked. Whether that happens this series, we'll see how it goes. But, that's on the player. They got to decide if that's what they want to do, because it's not easy to check. It's a mindset a lot of nights, and you got to be willing to do it and buy in, and he's done it. And he's getting credit for it now, and he should.
Hey, Bruce, what do you expect tonight?
Well, in terms of just how the game, I expect we'll play well and win. That's what I hope, or expect, sorry. After that, game ones to me are sometimes take a while to get, their feeling out process in a series. Will that happen because we know each other a little better than we knew Minnesota? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. But that's how it usually starts. It takes a while to get the animosity built up and matchups and who's going, who's not. You're feeling out the standard of officiating to how aggressive can you be. So there's a lot of that going on. And so I don't think you're going to see teams come out and I'll just leave it at that. That's how I see game ones. They're forgettable if you have a great series. Does that make any sense to you? If you go 6 or 7 games, you usually don't even remember what happened in game 1, to be honest.
Bruce, you mentioned the other day that somebody asked about time off between the last game and game 1. You said 8-9 days could be too long. This has been, I think, 5. Now that you're not far from face-off, has it been beneficial for the team, do you think?
Well, you always believe it is. I think both teams would have been fine starting yesterday. But here we are. The time was well spent for us. We had 2 days off. We got back. We had a day off. We had a day off on Sunday. 2 practices. I think that's enough to get going. Again, sometimes if your health is not good, you'd want extra time. If it is, you want to get right back in it. So, with the exception of Pav, we're healthy. We're ready to go. So it sounds like Edmonton is for the most part too. So anyway, I don't have a great answer for it. I think the guys would tell you to a man that they like to get back playing. They just want to play this time of year. It's all about the game. Practices are so minimal. So that's the best answer to that. You got to make do with whatever your allotted time is before you play, and then be ready to go. And I think our guys are ready. Find out tonight.
I think we naturally think of the speed and the skill with the Oilers, but they scored a bunch of goals on screens and tips against LA. How much emphasis is there on clearing those side lanes for Aiden?
Well, they're both. You can't help but, you start with Draisaitl, McDavid, right? And they're great rush guys, but their half-court offense or ozone in is excellent. They've added some pieces, both from health-wise. A guy like Kane, he gets to the front of the net. Hyman's always got to the front of the net. Perry gets there. I think the bottom of their lineup was very competitive against LA getting inside. Frederick and Arvidsson, 2 newer wingers that we didn't see. A lot of their goals was getting to the blue paint. 92, I always say his name wrong, so I put Coles in, I believe, is a big body that gets there. So that's their team to me, is big bodies that get to the front of the net. And then you're always kind of automatically deferring to the neutral zone speed of Draisaitl and McDavid, but they're a lot more than that. And their back end has probably changed quite a bit from 2 years ago in terms of Wallman and Klingberg are much more offensively tilted, maybe a Desharnais and a Ceci. So you're going to see a lot more D up in the play and pucks going low to high to the net with guys that can beat goaltenders.